Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So our group will present about the representative bureaucracy in terms of equal opportunity. So our member group are Nur Syaila binti Ahmad Latapi, Nurwardina Sofia binti Sukiman, Ismah Izzati binti Ishaq, Nurul Inshira binti Ahmad Tajuddin, Nurul Afika Fariha binti Maliki, and Nurul Nur Aisyah binti Badaruddin Afandi. So for the leading objectives, firstly is to identify the terms in representative bureaucracy, which is power, equal opportunity and diversity management. Secondly is to understand about representative bureaucracy in terms of equal opportunity. Thirdly is to identify the current issues related to the equal opportunity in representative bureaucracy. Fourthly is to explain the solutions taken to address the issues or problems related to the equal opportunity in representative bureaucracy. And the lastly is to relate the example in representative bureaucracy among the races to administrate the country. So the definition of the representative bureaucracy refers to a form of representation which reflects or captures almost all aspects of the demographic compositions in the governing body of the state. And representative bureaucracy divided to three, which are power, equal opportunity, and diversity management. However, our group will focusing more on equal opportunity.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So I will going to explain about the current issues or problems arise in representative bureaucracy in terms of equal opportunity. So firstly is inequality among gender. So the first point is unequal pay. So majority of women only knew about the concept and theories only as not to be the practical person as a whole to do a job, causing their appearance in profession dominated by men as seen with one eye. Although they are capable to do what men can do, yet their acknowledgement still be denied, causing them receive unequal pay from the company in particular field of occupation like in engineering. So second point is interview questions. So women will be frequently asked questions like family and family life should be out of bounds and have zero business in an interview. This kind of situation happen when some of the interview thinks that the company will be in the risk when the woman employee asks for maternity leave. However, this situation is not supposed to be happen because of once hired, if the issue of childbirth comes up, deal with it in the moment and always have perspective that whether a woman plans to have children, it does not affect her skills at all. And lastly, which is third point, is sexual harassment. So if there is a profession dominated by men, there will have a high probability that female workers might experiencing sexual harassment. This matter has been proven by the latest YouGov Omnibus research finds that 1 in 3, which is 36% of Malaysian women, have experienced sexual harassment compared to 1 in 6, which is 17% men.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Afika Fariha binti Maliki. I'm gonna explain about solution towards gender bias. This solution can be taken by both parties, employers and also employees. First of all, pay equity. Employer from the behalf of company must identify the different levels of pay among the employees. This matter can be solved through the simple question as, has the man earned higher salary through better performance and merit pay? The key thing employers must remember is pay equity doesn't mean that everyone has to be paid the same. There must be some reasons such as rewarding excellent employees for outstanding work. The employers need to identify the reasons for the difference are real and aren't the product of unconscious bias. If there are no logical reasons, then giving the woman a pay raise to equal the man's salary is the best way to eliminate gender bias. Subsequently, the employees also play an important role by claiming salary transparency from companies so that the payment gap can be detected. This can be done with employees build a good negotiation strategy, claiming for fair and equal salaries. Without pay transparency, this strategy does not work. Alan Powell, interim chief executive of Reddit, once said, "Negotiation is a man's game and women are bad at it." Next is interviews. Employers need to standardize selection tools and procedures such as asking about job-related questions and provide job knowledge tests. This will avoid from being biased and only focus on the qualifications of the applicants. For maternal, assume either she is capable of managing work and parenting responsibilities effectively. Other than that, applicants need to provide clear job-related information such as individual achievements, skills, and relevant experience that will reflect their suitability for the role. The most important part is boast yourself and confident during the interview. Moving on to sexual harassment, as a responsible employee, they must respond seriously to all complaints involving sexual harassment by publishing a complete policy about it and create a proper procedure by which employees can express their concerns confidentially. As a result, if complaint turns out to be valid, response should be swift and effective. As employees, they have the right to protect themselves. They can report any concerns regarding sexual harassment immediately with writing a formal complaint letter to the companies. If the employees experience inaction from company, complaint can be lodged to the Director General of Labour. In spite of the harasser is the owner of the company, complaint can be made directly to the Labour Department.
Okay, so the next current issues in terms of representative bureaucracy is about the inequality towards races. First thing first is about the job application, whereby the Chinese resumes are far more likely to be called for an interview compared to other races. We see this happening a lot these days, whereby when there are job vacancies and then there will be a lot of applicants from many different races such as Malays, such as Indians, Chinese, but then that company, they usually will put priority on the Chinese people only, just because they feel more comfortable working with the Chinese, even though the other races, they have a lot more work experiences, a lot more job qualifications, but then still not being hired or being called just because they are not from that particular races. Besides, if they say like they prefer the Chinese people just because they feel more comfortable working with the Chinese people, actually it should not be a problem, because you should know how to blend in with everybody, how to blend in with different races, especially we're living in a multiracial country. So we shouldn't take this as a big issue that we need to put in the job qualifications. Oh, you must be Chinese, then you will get the job, something. So it is very unfair. So next is about the language issue. Most companies, they prefer Mandarin speakers only in the job qualification. Okay, this is something that we see almost everywhere. When there are job vacancies, the qualification will always be Mandarin speakers only, which is so unfair, especially like we're living in Malaysia. Mandarin is not even our national language. So why bother putting it in the job qualification? They say it's because to make it easier for us to communicate with the Chinese country, but that shouldn't be a problem, because it is not our problem. They should hire translators or something, so that shouldn't be an issue. Because like you see, in country like Japan, they even get higher salary just by knowing the Japanese language. Meanwhile, in our country, where the Malay language is our national language, but we need to know Mandarin language in order to get certain jobs. So it is very unfair. Alright, moving on, the next part is regarding the job classification, whereby the employees who do not fit the racial criteria, their responsibilities become heavier. So this happens in certain companies whereby they don't give the employees fair treatment, even though they are in the same position, they are given the same amount of salary, but one of them had to do a lot more job scopes just because he or she is from some particular races that the company don't really like. So it's really unfair to judge someone just through their races. Plus, even though they had to do like a lot more job scopes, there are still no increment in salary, which is sad because like they are being paid with the same amount. One had to do a lot more jobs, and then the wages are still the same. So that is really unfair. Okay, we've come to the last part, which is religion issue. Firstly, not allowing Muslims to take a break to perform their prayers. So in this part, we should respect another religions in our country, because we all aware that Muslims, we must pray 5 times a day, every day. We cannot miss any single prayer because it is a must in our religion. So it doesn't really take that much time, like maybe like around 5 minutes or something, and we're done. But then some companies still don't let them to take that short break to perform their prayer, which is like, it shows that they don't respect another religion. And then the last part is not allowing Muslim women to wear hijab, even though it has nothing to do with the job scope. Okay, so this is really sad because like it feels like Muslim women who wear hijab is like they have lesser opportunity, or they are being treated a little bit differently just because of their hijab, even though it has nothing to do with the job scope. And even some workplaces, they prefer women with no hijab. Like if you want to work here, you have to take off your hijab, if not you cannot work here. So it's really sad to see this thing happening in our country. So that's all from me. Thank you.
For job classification, regarding the unequal job scopes given to particular races, the solution is companies must create a racially balanced workforce. A company should not try to diverse their workforce with people of color. Job and tasks given should be according to one's job position. Regarding the job application issues, where Chinese are more likely to be called for interviews compared to other races, the solution is to apply for third language classes. Some of the company may have specific preference on the job recruiting. Maybe there are already a lot of Malays in the company, so they have to take Chinese or other races to fill the job position. As for the Malay, try to make the resume looks more attractive. And if one have difficulty in looking for career desire and getting callbacks, take Mandarin classes. For religion issues, some company won't allow Muslims to perform their prayers and wear their hijabs. The solution is organization should strive to be flexible regarding the religious issues, where they should encourage workers to dress in accordance to their faith and belief, and ensure that when contemplating their accommodation of religious needs, they follow a valid purpose and behave proportionately as for the prayers too. For job application issues, where companies prefer Mandarin speaker to fill a job position in a company, the solution is companies should hire a personal translator for international networking. It should not be a big concern for companies to hire a personal translator for social networking instead of limiting the workers to have some sort of language proficiency.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Isma Izzati binti Ishaq. My matrix number is 2020828676, and today I want to present to you what's the issue regarding the standard of living, or we call that as the role of mobility upwards. The very first issue that we got here is reserve position. What do I mean by saying reserve position is that nowadays we all know that it's very hard to gain a job opportunity, and these past few years even fresh graduates doesn't really have enough job opportunities until they have to do whatever they could to just get some money for a living. And it occurs to me that some people just can enroll into a company and get high position just because they get some cables, while there is some people who work very hard from the bottom just to get promoted, waited for 5 years or 6 years just to get the higher position. Why? Because they got no cables, that's all. And I think it's very unfair to them. Okay, the next issue is education privilege. Okay, some people might have flunked or might have failed their paper but got enrolled into a decent or a nice college that they want just because they got some decent money compared to the other person who got no decent money and they have to work very hard just to get enrolled into the college. Just because that one particular person have an extra money, they doesn't have to work as hard as the other person. I'm not saying that all institutions are like this, but there are some institutions that prioritize money over things like grades or something like that, and I think that's pretty unfair. Okay, the next one is unapplied rules. As we can see, some high status or high social class people would have been fined if they did something that breaks the rules. Compared to middle or lower class people, would have been fined in a blink of an eye just because they did something similar. It's kind of unfair, isn't it? Because I think all the rules and regulations in Malaysia are applied to every citizen in Malaysia, not only people who are from middle or lower class status. The last issue is the socio-economic gaps that we have. I think we have reached the point where if someone's rich, they are too rich, and if someone's poor, they are too poor until they couldn't find enough food to eat in a day. Okay, and it really concerns me that some lower position worker have to work extra time just to be paid minimum wage. And it it breaks my heart because we are all human and we all got our limits. Just because the worker is not from Malaysia, um, we don't have to do that to him or to her, right?
The solution of the reserve position is a person should be promoted to a certain position based on their qualification, skill and experience. For some people, promotion is a way of demonstrating their hard work and dedication. As such, people will put in more effort and demonstrate passion and excellent behavior. Next, service system take whole person and whole family approaches. This will provide adult and children with the tools they need to set goals together, create plans and achieve those goals. Third, recognizing people's strengths and needs during different phases of human development by investing in solutions for young children and adults. Education system supposed to prepare young people with qualified knowledge and skill need to be strict in accepting their student regardless their status. Award should be given to each of student so that they will keep striving harder and encourage other students to follow their footsteps. Lastly, unapplied rules. Every citizen will be fined if they broke the rules. It is because the rules applies in the same manner regardless of a person's status. Every citizen is subjected to the same law. No person can legally claim any special treatment just because of he or she happens to be an important person. There are some solutions for socio-economic gaps. First, give award to hardworking workers based on their achievement to encourage desirable behavior by spotlighting role models. An employee performance record should be considered in any award nomination. Second, a worker must be paid based on their skills. This because it would be very unfair to pay high salary to the higher position worker. So they should be paid depending on their skill and effort in their work. Third, build the training and informational pathways that offer the chance to connect people who are out of work with employers who sometimes cannot find the workers they need.